In today's show, we discuss if you engage in virtual reality sex, are you actually being unfaithful?
And now, the TNT Talk Show, daring to go where other podcasts fear to tread.
Hello, I'm Tony Fasulo, and I share the stage with my esteemed friend and colleague, Taya Boya. Taya, hello, my friend, once again. I hope you're keeping safe and well, and say hi
Yeah,
to our audience.
yeah, what the hell, Tony? You're not making it better, you know? What you gonna do, eh? Jesus. Anyway,
That bright and cheery
yeah.
audience already
Like I said, you're
depressed.
not making it better. Anyway, hello, audience. Listen, I got something for the audience today. This
Okay. It's
is,
not Dr. Isaiah Henry, is it? No.
I know you bring him up because you miss him. I told you you would. This is facts, unusual facts. Remember this thing I'm doing?
Yeah.
Have you heard anything about wombats? Do you know what
What?
wombats are?
A
Kind of,
wombat.
yeah.
Um, Not a lot, I must say. It's a
Oh,
little
a
little
little
Australian
furry
animal.
thing in Australia. Yes, yes, a wombat. Now, what is strange about them is their poo. Do you know about this?
Their poo.
Yeah.
Feces. Okay,
Yes, their
yeah.
feces. Yeah. Do you know anything why
No.
wombat poo would be strange?
No.
Because, believe it or not, the poo comes out cube shaped.
What?
The poo comes out cube shaped. And in case anyone doesn't believe me, here's a link for you. This
Cube shaped.
cube shaped.
How on earth does it do that?
The internal structure of their intestines, apparently, and something to do with the configuration of their anus. So,
Okay.
believe it or not, yes, there we go.
CNN, yeah.
You learn stuff here now, you see, on the TNT talk show.
Okay, okay. Interesting
Yeah.
facts. Okay, we'll put that on, we'll share that with the blurb with our audience. And
Mm-hmm.
actually talking about the blurb and the audience, before we reveal today's show, although if you're listening to the show, you will have seen the header and know what the topic is. But what we're going to ask you again, our wonderful audience, to basically like, comment, and subscribe to our platform. Let us know if you enjoy the topics that we discuss, if any you want to recommend because you've got a beef with it or you want to know a bit more about it. Please, please, please continue to comment because we will pick up on those at some point and we will respond. And we may even take up your challenge and talk about a particular topic, especially if we've got some angst about it. So yes, please do that. And whatever platform you're on, please, please comment and like, and obviously subscribe because it does our numbers the world of good. Right. Today's topic, and this one is obviously going to be an adult themed show because we're asking the question, if you engage in virtual reality sex, are you being unfaithful? Now, Taya, this was one of mine. Do you want to explain actually to
Yeah,
our
I don't
audience
get into the filthy bits,
what no
Tony.
no what is virtual reality sex? Because some people might be a bit confused. Well, what is that? What is it?
I had to look it up. I didn't know what it was. I
Okay.
actually had to look it up. So what the heck is virtual VR is the go-to term for it. No one actually says virtual reality sex. Everyone says VR sex. So I looked it up. What the heck is VR sex? And apparently you can get these gadgets that go around your eyes and your ears, and in some cases, an entire body suit. There's a name for it, and I'll find out. I've seen it, but I've forgotten how it goes. It means tactile, like a tactile suit, but that's not what it's called. And then you can enter this virtual reality and simulate sex until you are satisfied, so to speak. And yeah, I was just wondering because the entire concept is foreign to me. It's like, how's that even going to work?
It does work.
Well, you would know, but I
No,
wouldn't. I
no,
mean,
I don't know from personal experience. I must clarify that.
see Tony backing away from his
Oh,
previous
I'm backing
position
away because
post haste. Yeah,
no,
so I can't figure in my head. I can't figure it out. It's you put on
very
these
clever.
goggles and stuff. Look,
Yeah.
I've been recently, and I asked you to go too. I don't know if you did. About a few months ago now, I think I can't remember whether it was this side of 2025 or in 2024. I took my wife to London to this virtual reality thing where we went and visited the pyramids of Gizeh in virtual reality. And it was absolutely stunning, right? And especially when they put you on a cube and they lift you into the air and you're hundreds of feet off the air looking down and there's no barriers or anything, and your head tells you something. Your head says, look man, I'm in London, I'm in a studio, I'm perfectly safe, but your body's like, yeah, I don't believe you, pal. And then you get flooded with adrenaline, and you're all worried my wife was grabbing onto me for dear life. Yeah, so yes, it can get immersive. It can,
Yes.
and no matter what your brain tells you, you're in that moment. So I can extrapolate from there, but I still don't believe it, sort of thing.
The technology is very, very clever. Now, I don't know whether you've ever sat in those recliner chairs that massage you.
yeah, they feel horrible to me. I know.
Maybe, maybe. I mean, the technology's moved on from that. The suits that people wear on their hands and their body, they've got there's little pumps underneath the suit surface. So
Mm,
what you see is felt on your skin by little sensations and pressure points. So the point of the virtual reality sex is that you put this suit on and it's like playing a game, and you're playing a game, but it's a sexual game. And it's all done via the AI, by the program. So there's no real people involved, but the people in it obviously look real, but they're not. They're fabricated images via AI. But you feel the sensations on your skin akin to what Tayo's described, where you're in an environment and you feel that way. Disney do similar things to this.
mm,
There you go into these virtual reality rooms and it's you're encased and you actually feel almost nauseous as on a ride, even though you're physically in a room, you're not moving anywhere. And this is the technology that moves it forward. So the question of our show is, if you engage in something like this, are you being unfaithful? Or is it akin to just looking at pornography? So, where does this line cross in terms of being unfaithful or not? Because unfaithful, in my book anyway, meant another human being. So you've got feelings for them and you're engaging in activity which is pleasurable, but you're both doing it. But when you're in a virtual reality environment where everything is fabricated, it's all software, the lines are blurred. It's a grey area. So it's a very difficult one to sort of answer. I mean, you said at the start of the show, you said, "Oh, this is going to be a short show because there's not really anything to talk about." But this is clearly a grey area. Where does it lie?
well, I'll tell you why it's a short show, because you've already more or less given the game away with what you said. You've already given the game away. Before I get into how you've given the game away, the word I was looking for, excuse me, the word I was looking for is haptic. HAP, P for Papa, TIC, haptic. And a haptic device is one that departs or gives you not the pulse. It's one that gives you tactile sensation, the touch, the sense of touch. So a haptic device could be around your, for a male, around your main member, if you catch my drift. And for a female, it would be something like a dildo or something along those lines, a vibrator, a dildo, whatever. So these are haptic devices where you've got your VR, your virtual reality that covers your eyes, your nose, and I suppose in advanced cases, even sense of smell. I'm not sure how they'll do the tasting. Yes.
No,
That
not
there we
sure
go.
about that. No.
Your ears, you'd hear the sounds, you see you'd see your partner, you would maybe even smell your partner, and then you have these haptic devices that impart the sensation. So pretty much the full range, minus the actual physical person in the room with you. However, with 5G technology and all that, with very low latency, you could actually set it up if you had the money. I mean, I don't think everybody can afford this, but you could set it up such that there was another human being at the other end of the experience. So if you were working remote from home, it doesn't have to be someone you're cheating with. It could be your wife, or your girlfriend or whatever. Vice versa, it could be your husband, your boyfriend. So you could set it up, and you're not together in the same locale, but you are together in the sense that you're having this shared experience. Obviously, no one is going to call that cheating because you guys are in a relationship. But what happens when you turn around and say, "Well, okay, I didn't do it for real with an AI avatar. I did it with someone I've never met, I'm never going to meet at the other end of the world, and we just happen to meet in this chat room, and we just happen to have this." Is that really cheating? But to me, is you answered the question already because you
Okay.
said, hmm?
I mean, sorry to interrupt here, but here's a question then.
Full flow.
If you're
Okay.
if you're saying, therefore, that if you're talking to somebody online
Hmm.
and you're not in the same room, they're in, argument's sake, we're in Europe, they're in America. There's
Hmm.
no likelihood of meeting up at any point.
Hmm.
However,
Or
they've got their,
anonymous, for example.
yeah,
Could be anonymous.
anonymous. You don't even know, but it's an actual human though.
Hmm.
So you don't even know their true name, nothing about them because they're an avatar of themselves.
Hmm.
You are an avatar of you.
Hmm.
You're in a room, a virtual reality room. You still feel the sensations together, but you are two human beings enacting sexually one another remotely. So there you're not actually physically contacting, but you're using technology to enable that.
Hmm.
But okay, is that worse than flirting in a real location, talking sexually with somebody next to you in the same room, flirting, maybe being sexual? Again, no physical acts are going on. Is that being unfaithful?
If you're flirting with someone, if you're flirting with someone and it's totally anonymous, that's an interesting question. I haven't asked myself that. So I'll have to think about it. I'm sure I'll get an answer shortly. What I'm doing is I'm putting myself into the mindset of somebody walking in on his wife, and I find she's having a chat with someone, and I'm first of instinct would be, sorry, what's going on? And so, oh, I just this chap. I'm reading the stuff. I said, what the hell? I said, yeah, I don't know who this is. It's just someone I've met. I'll probably never meet him. It's a random number, so it's just a number, and I don't even know if it's even a guy. For example, it's just someone on, and we're having this chat, and it makes me feel good. And yeah, there's nothing going on. I mean, because like I say, I don't know who he is. He doesn't know who I am. I'm a number. He presumably he's a number. How would I feel about it? I'm like, well, kid. Okay, now that I'm thinking about it, sometimes I call her kid. Kid, I think you're kind of getting close to the edge here, man. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, vice versa. How would you feel? That's probably the best way to go about it. Well, if it was the other way around, how would you feel about it? I don't know. I don't know that I'd be. I'm not sure I'd be comfortable, but I'm not sure I'd be uncomfortable. It's like this is too weird for me, man. I'm a boomer. I'm an old fogey, right? I mean, technology. There's a limit when I can't deal with technology anymore. It's like the mere the mere the mere idea that you're sitting there talking to some random person that you don't even know if it's even a guy. I mean, it could be an AI for all you know. What is this? Or she even says it's an AI. It's a program. I know it's a program because it's an AI selected, non-human AI. All right, you flirt with an AI. I think you got problems, man. So now it's my fault. It's like, what have I not done for you recently? Do I need to take you out more often to lunch or dinner or something? More romance? What?
Well,
Why are you getting satisfied from a flipping AI? Do you see what I mean?
yeah,
But
that's interesting, but could you not link that to thinking of someone else during sex? Is
yeah,
that being
don't tell. Well,
unfaithful?
yeah. Well, don't tell me about it. I mean, that's a bit dissatisfying. It's like,
No,
oh,
I know, but
I mean,
it's
nobody wants to. I mean, look,
you see where there's a
I don't
line,
have the
the lines are
mental,
blurred.
I don't have the mental capacity. Okay, it's hard enough work, man. Just dealing with the person in front of you. For you to start introducing somebody who's not even flipping there, I can't freaking do it, man. It's like that. It's supposed to be fun. No, I'm going. No, no, you. It's like what? Either that, or I have very meager powers of imagination. I don't know what it is, you know. But whatever you need to get off, so I can get on with my freaking business.
Oh,
Get on with it.
you
Come
see,
already. But don't tell me because
there,
obviously that's like ugh. Don't tell
yeah.
me. But
It, the thing is,
if I walked in, if this is I think
yeah,
I'm telling the truth. If I walked in and she was doing something with virtual reality, I think my honestly, I might be wrong. I think I just like, what are you doing? Grow up, man. That would be it. That would be it's like, yeah,
it's a difficult one because
not to
how
me.
would you assess then people watching pornography and then stimulating themselves?
Yeah,
Because
they're
you're
having
actually
fun. What the
watching
hell?
other people in the acts
They're just
of.
having fun. Just having fun. Whatever. It
Mm.
takes a bit of the load off me, and it's fine. What else? Well, that's how you get your jollies. Well, at least it's clean. I'm gonna catch anything. Off you go. Off you go, mate. I mean, we
I
can all be a bit relaxed now. I know everyone's so uptight about this, about all this. Physically with someone else, no. Do you see? Straight
yeah,
away. No
yeah,
ifs, no whens, no buts. That's not a
yeah,
joke.
that's
I'm not finding
unfaithful.
that
Yeah.
funny. Okay. So yeah, no. But when it starts getting esoteric like this, it's too it's too esoteric for me. I can't deal with it. I can't take it seriously. I think my main problem, I can't take it seriously. It's just like I don't know what you're doing. You're messing around. And it's not really impacting upon, as I see it, our relationship. So yeah. I think
If
women say that if the porn if a lot of women say if the pornography doesn't isn't so much that the guy no longer finds her interesting
Yes,
because
if it
apparently
distracts him or her in some
mm,
cases away from the intimacy of the relationship. If it has no bearing, then absolutely it doesn't make no odds, then that's fine. But you're right, if there's a detachment because of the pornography,
ah
so
there's a problem.
there's a problem there where they're getting satisfied from the pornography rather than the relationship. And then, yeah, clearly there are problems there. But the root question about being unfaithful, see,
Mm,
that's the interesting one. At what point does something become unfaithful? Is it only when there's an actual human involved? Because the virtual reality, imagine this scenario, for instance. Let's sort of set a scene. The virtual reality has got quite advanced. You have, I don't know, fantasy that you like a, a blonde lady, a particular shape. And so you design an avatar based on your absolute personal preferences. So you're in a room with this AI generated avatar that meets all your sexual desires. You then put your headset on, you put your outfit on, and you're in a room with this AI character who then simulates all the things that you desire because that's what you've put down as what you like. Now, is that being unfaithful? Because it's not a real person, it's an AI generated avatar whom you are getting pleasure from. But are you being unfaithful? Because it's so close to another human, even though there's no human there, it's an AI generated reality.
Well, this is the thing. I think you, as I was saying earlier, I think you have already answered your own question because you said, and I quote, something like, as far as I am concerned, that's it. That's the answer. That's the final answer. That's why I said it's going to be a short show because that is the answer. It is how you, the individual, feel about it. There are people in this world who do things that I could never do. They're called swingers.
Yes.
They're married, but but they and their spouse, their husband or wife, they go off to these parties and they have sex with other people, and they're
Full
perfectly
in the
happy with
knowledge, the other
full
parties full
in
in
the
the knowledge.
presence of or
Gosh.
whatever, and they don't seem to. It's perfectly okay. They've been together for years. They're happy. That's their lifestyle. I'm not going to do that. I mean, no, no, thank you. I'm not into that sort of thing. So for me, that is cheating. For them, it's not. And how can it be cheating when they both agree? Now,
Yes.
there are several occasions when I keep on saying partners, I hate using that word. One of the spouses, one of the spouses becomes emotionally entangled with someone else, and then that leads to problems, maybe even divorce, because emotions become involved.
Yeah.
They say, well, you keep on wanting to be with Louise, or yeah, you keep on wanting to be with George, and you don't even want to be with anybody else now. And there's obviously something going, and you're planning on meeting up for drinks and everything. That's not what we discussed.
Yeah.
Now
There's
you're
an
getting
emotional intimacy now, isn't
emotional
there?
intimacy, which wasn't meant to form. So a lot of people, that's where a lot of people draw the line. Are you aware that many Japanese women don't have a problem with their husbands visiting prostitutes?
Wow.
They don't have a problem with the. They say, yeah, yeah, it gets him out of the house. As
Wow.
long, and then they say this, as long as he doesn't form an emotional attachment. That I can't accept. That is their no-no.
Which is understandable because then your your eye has turned and you're now looking elsewhere for love as opposed to just functional sex
Yeah, I
and
don't really
stimulation.
see it as being that easy myself to accept, but like it's not me. So that's my entire point. Like, it isn't me. It's what other people think is right and proper for them. So cheating is subjective. It's not an objective standard. There's no objective standard. Some people will feel in exactly the same situation. One person feels he or she is not cheating, and another person feels, yeah, she or he is not cheating. It is cheating in the exact same situation. So it's not an objective standard. Therefore, VR sex may or may not be cheating depending on what the individual who's involved on the other side of it thinks. There, done, sorted,
Yeah,
finito.
it's
This is what
it's
I'm saying.
it's a very good answer, really. And you're right, it is subjective. It's in the grey area,
Hmm.
in the middle, because we've established that if someone gets to the point of actually having intercourse with another person, that by most people would agree is being unfaithful. But if it's got the blessing of the spouse, because, yeah, it's swinging. I don't mind. Then it's no longer cheating for that couple. But then there's the other extreme.
Polygamous marriage.
Yeah.
Polygamous marriage. It's not cheating.
Well, isn't it true that some religions actually forbid you even thinking sexually of someone else? So you're
Yeah,
not
good luck.
acting out, you're not seeing it, you're not doing it. You just see someone and you sort of look at them and go, "Ooh," and that's it. And then it's gone. But even
Yeah.
that is frowned upon.
When I was learning my catechism, I always found that kind of dodgy.
Why?
Because I was a young man, my
Sexual
hormones
urges,
were
yeah.
raging, and every time I saw a girl, ooh, so I was basically I was ooh all day, all day, every day.
You see,
as
there's a
someone,
straight.
as someone very wise once said, in those days I was so horny that even the crack of dawn had to watch out.
Dear, well, good job. This is an adult show. Oh
So I
dear.
didn't. I don't know how you guys expect me to do that. And the priest, he was like, "That's what you have confession for."
Yeah,
He said,
but the
"Yeah,
point.
you. I mean, that's what he told me. He said you can't keep that law. Okay, you will break it. I mean, you'll do your best. And according to him, it turned out to be true. By the way, the more you practice it, the better you become at it. Until yeah, okay, the time comes when you're much, 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 much older. When you not everybody go ooh, you understand? But he
Yeah.
said if it happens, that's why you have confession.
It's strange, isn't it? Because when you're young in particular, you have
Oh
attractions
yeah.
and certain people appeal and others don't. It's strange why everybody's sort of unique in that area. There
Mm,
are some shared similarities of what we find attractive, but everybody is generally different. And so virtual reality is is strange in so much that it opens up avenues for people to engage in their sexual fantasies without this emotional intimacy to a degree. Now, obviously, you're defining what you like in these virtual reality setups. And I know this is digressing slightly from the topic in question, but what if people are living out some sexual, I don't know, some weird stuff, which they could, because the AI is an AI. It could create it for you, unless the AI is obviously bound by programming not to be perverse. But it could generate things that are only personal to you that if the partner found out would think, wow, that's worse than unfaithful. That's just, depravity.
mm,
So it does open up a lot of avenues. But on the same token, it's like I think we discussed it on a show, well, many moons back now, probably a good 2 or 3 years ago, about prostitution and whether it should be legalized.
mm,
Because there's some quarters that say that prostitution prevents frustrated men from committing crimes
mm,
because it's a service in a way to society because these sexual urges that a lot of people have and especially younger people have to be fulfilled at some point because it's an urge. It's a functional element of the human body. So yes, you can suppress it to a point, but in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it's one of these fundamentals that we have at a core level of being human, that we have these sexual urges, so they need to be met. So all virtual sex is doing is keeping it cleaner, I suppose, less emotional intimacy, which we've touched on, and allowing people to, I don't know, not be unfaithful, less likely to be unfaithful because they're getting their sexual needs or kicks or whatever you want to call it met through AI without actually risking being unfaithful by getting relationships with another human being. So I don't know. It's a strange one. Is it also providing a service that would be beneficial, prevents relationship breakup because you're doing it with an AI effectively? You're not doing it with another human. I don't know. It's definitely a grey area.
Well, what would be interesting would be to consider your feelings. For each person, consider their feelings if they found out that their partner was watching pedophilia, for example.
Oof.
Well, not watching because they'd be involved. She would be involved with a small boy, or he would be involved with a small girl. But there's no actual small boy and there's no actual small girl, and no one is actually getting harmed. It's not like pornography where there is someone who was harmed because there was an actual model who was underage. In this case, there's no actual model who's underage. Therefore, absolutely no one was harmed. But when you consider that, I would find that unpleasant.
Mm.
Like I say, when there are things that I can accept and go like, oh, well, just grow up, man. But that is not one of those situations. That's like, what's the matter with you? I didn't realize you were like that,
Yeah.
you know? And
However, that's actually against the law.
what?
It's covered by the same law. They're saying that if you're caught with even AI or images of AI which match the physical, real human beings, then you are also, even though there's no real human being affected, you are still breaking the law. So they've actually grouped the two together. So VR images, virtual reality images, virtual reality sex with things that are illegal, animals or children underage, blah blah blah, you will still be treated as criminal behavior if you're caught with that sort of stuff, which I think is actually right because it simplifies it. Even though there's nobody actually hurt, you're still viewing depravity. So the law is still the same. So they've simplified it by doing that. But yeah, it ensures that it's covered. So if anyone is found with AI related material, virtual reality, playing with stuff which they shouldn't do, they will equally be held accountable and they are breaking the law.
I find that extremely peculiar. One thing about this, that my understanding when I was growing up is that the law is there to protect the innocent. So if no one is harmed, there is no innocent party who's been harmed. So what are you doing? It doesn't make any sense. It's like, let's remember why we have laws in the first place. It's to protect the weak and the innocent, the vulnerable. Now there is no vulnerable person here. What's the problem? So that's my entire thesis. I'm talking about on a personal level. Is VR sex cheating? I'm saying that I would imagine. I don't have any stats. I don't have any evidence, but instinctively, I believe that most people, if they found out that their partner was having VR sex, it would be more or less 50-50 as to whether they would be offended or not, or take it as cheating or not. But if they found out that their partner was doing something like, pedophilia or bestiality, that's entirely different. That's not going to pass most people. Most people are going to be, no, sorry, man, no. That's what
Well, you
I'm trying
see,
to say.
your reaction there
Hmm.
is the same whether it's a real breaking the law with real humans, animals, etc.,
Mm-hmm.
or virtual breaking the law
Mm-hmm.
with virtual humans or virtual animals.
Yes, but
The
I'm
same
not
response is the
suggesting.
same.
No, but I'm not suggesting that there should be legal jeopardy. I might be
Right, the legal
uncomfortable,
side of
but
it.
the
But
legal
then
side of it is like, what
you
are you
don't
trying to
want to
do?
encourage it because there's
You're not
evidence that
encouraging anything. It doesn't matter. What you're not encouraging anything. If there becomes a if there becomes data that we build up over a period of time and say, you know what? People who start off with VR inevitably what's the word I'm looking for? Inevitably migrates or promotes into real interactions or trying real interactions with real people, and it's inevitable due to the statistics. There's a statistical standard deviation or whatever. Then we say, well, you know what, guys, it's like a gateway drug. We know that if you start it, it's going to end up being bad for society. Sorry, we're going to have to stop it. But
well,
if that's not the case, if they're just getting their jollies off and it's like the prostitution thing, it keeps you harmless. What's our problem?
I think there is an element there of using data from a model of previous, like you said, if it's a gateway, normally with drug use, for instance, normally people start with smaller, class B drugs, and then they eventually, statistics do show they're more likely to then move up to class A and so forth. And also where people who've been sanitized in a way, seeing pornography often lead to actions against people in a negative way that wouldn't normally happen had they not been exposed to pornography. So I can see there being an issue, certainly a correlation, where if people are not discouraged from looking at VR related stuff, which is currently illegal if it was physical, then there is a correlation that they would perhaps have done that enough at some point and then want to actually experience the real physical side of it rather than keeping it virtual. Now, granted, there will be people that would probably keep it at virtual, but there's going to be more chance of people moving over to the physical side as opposed to keeping it in the virtual. Hence why they've made it illegal. And in my opinion, rightfully so. If something is illegal now, physically, then I don't see a problem with it being illegal in the virtual world, because let's look at the virtual reality now. It's now becoming so real, it fools our senses. That you've even said it at the start of the show. Your senses were fooled when you were in that environment in London. Virtual reality is getting so good, we are struggling to tell the difference. And when we see even now material that's provided on the internet, we see clips of videos and that, and we can't make out if it's real or not, or AI generated. You have to really study it carefully to differentiate, and that's the worst it's going to be. It's going to get even more realistic. So for me personally, I think the law is right that if anybody is using VR in an illegal practice, so they're actually using it as would be illegal physically, then yes, it should be outlawed, and it correctly so is.
Well, definitely going to have to disagree on that. If there's no one being harmed, and you were saying that we speculated that we extrapolated, but didn't speculate. We extrapolated from one experience, and we said, well, it's got to be the same in the other experience. Well, I'm facts and evidence, man. I'm not going to accept that. It's like, when you got data, let us know. We don't have the data now. For now, it's innocent until proven guilty, like it used to be when we knew our asses from our elbows. Let's keep going that way. Innocent until proven guilty. There's nothing wrong with this until we find there's something wrong with it. We haven't found there's anything wrong with it. It's fine. And hopefully, I'll be right, and it will draw off the pus, the poison from the body politic, and those who have that kind of bent will be able to safely practice their thing
Their
in
depravity.
safety. Sorry.
Their depravity.
Well, I don't want to use the word because it's pejorative, so I didn't want to use that word. They'll
Okay.
just practice their little thing, and everyone will be happier for it. So I don't.
Strangely, if the VR scenario was created, there'll be a record of it somewhere, a log or something. So the authorities would be more aware of the people who are even
Well, there we go. So
trying
even
it.
that might make it even safer. Although that would be a gross, a gross infringement of privacy. I don't know how you're going to get around privacy laws on that. That would be, oh, and yeah, that would be disgusting. Actually, I mean, you're actually in people's bedrooms now, spying on them. If it was anonymized, so we don't know who, right? But we had okay, this is an ideal scenario, so it's ridiculous, but it's ideal. We had zero cases of pedophilia in real life, right?
Yep.
Then we said, okay, VR people, you can do it, and then we know that there are 600,000 people doing it now. Okay, and then the following year, there's a sudden spike in real pedophilia. Then we can say, hang on, when we didn't have the VR people doing it, we didn't. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So we don't have to know who individually, but we can say, hey, no. So we can anonymize the data and not make it not get into privacy issues. So it's anonymized. We don't know who's who, but we do know that. Sorry, we are seeing a rise in real cases at the same time that it's rising in VR. Then you're going to get the lawyers coming in and going, yeah, but you see, correlation is not causation. Ugh.
Although it would be interesting now you've said that as to whether if they did allow it in VR, whether real paedophilia cases would actually come down.
That would be great. That would be fantastic. And I'm kind of hoping it would. I'm kind of hoping it would. I mean, if you're getting your jollies off, you're getting your jollies off. And the first place I think, and I hope we'd see it, is it would drop in pornography because you wouldn't have to risk being caught with pornography because you can have all that stuff in your VR world and no one is being hurt. There are no real models.
Interesting. Yeah, it's an interesting one. Yeah, it could it could in actual fact be a precursor for the decline of pornography. Because if the virtual reality porn,
Mm.
let's put it that way, it emulates the real, then why would you need to pay people to do the real when it could be simulated
Yep.
through AI? I suppose this is the argument that a lot of mainstream Hollywood actors had an issue with, that AI generated content would replace real actors and actresses. The same would apply to the porn industry. If the AI was getting better and better, computer generated AI, then why would you need the real actors and actresses in the porn industry either? They'd be suffering the same fate, would they not?
Yeah, and well, suffering one way to look at it. But what would be really
Their
great
income is
about it,
affected, though, isn't it?
well, what would
They
be
still
really
get
great
paid.
about it is that then we wouldn't have these women pushed into it and living to regret it because they were pushed, coerced, inveigled, whatever word you want to use, and long-term consequences. This would be a victimless situation. And I think that's something we should shoot for. It's certainly a positive outcome for technology if it means we don't have victims.
Yes. Yes. Okay, interesting. It's an interesting one. I mean, we haven't got to the top of the hour, but I'm struggling now
I told you.
on what else we could talk about because I
I
think
said.
we've adequately covered this
Yep.
in
I think it's
this
going
in
to
the
be a
time
short
we have.
one. I think
Still
it's going to be.
beneficial, a very interesting one, because I dare say if we'd had some, I mean, let's put it out to our listeners and viewers. What's your view on this? Do you actually believe that you are being unfaithful if you instigate and engage in VR sex, or not, as the case may be? So please, please let us have your comments. Let us have
Hmm.
your views, what you think. If you are
Maybe we should have a poll.
religious,
Maybe we should have a poll.
yeah, maybe. I mean,
See
if
if I
you're
can sort one
religious,
out.
though, I dare say a lot of religious people may be against it altogether because any form of even pornography now is is frowned upon. Is it
Hmm.
being unfaithful though? That's a separate question, but certainly it's frowned upon. Certainly having sexual thoughts about somebody else is also frowned upon. But is it actually our root question where you're actually being unfaithful? That's the difference. And to answer the question, I still don't think we've answered it adequately in terms of a right answer. It's just subjective to the individuals.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, that is the right answer, in my opinion. That's the whole point. That's what I feel is the right answer. It's subjective. For example, I don't want to start the whole thing off again, but for example, if you got two kinds of robots, right? One's a fridge, a cube or something, okay? One's a rectangle, a box. Okay, one's a box, right? And the other is humanoid.
We haven't
And
touched
it's
on robots actually. We never mentioned that at all. But go
yeah.
on.
Well, one's a box. The other is a is humanoid looking, and it's made up to be as humanoid looking as is possible. Let's pretend, for the sake of this argument, uh, almost impossible to distinguish it from a real person. Okay,
Okay.
and then you find your significant other is pleasuring herself or being pleasured with this with these two robots. The box, I suspect most men wouldn't. I mean, they'll go like, "Yeah, okay, what again? How often are you on this freaking box thing?" You know. But that's just like, okay, you know what? I don't even care. I'm going for a coffee, and off you go. But if you come back and then you find this other one, the humanoid one, I suspect that something will go off in the brain and it'll be a little different. I don't think it'd be the same.
I think you're right because that does look too close to another human,
Hmm.
and therefore you would think they're being unfaithful if the robot was replicating everything that another human would do. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference. You think, well, is that human or not?
Hmm.
In that case, you think they're being unfaithful, even though you then subsequently discover it's a robot.
No, it's a robot. I mean, it's not just subsequently. That's a robot. You've even seen its insides. You've seen all the gizmos and the lights flashing and everything. But the reaction between that and the box, I'm saying, will not be the same. There's
Yeah,
something
that's interesting.
there's something deep within us, and that humanoid one will just be like, yeah, I'm not comfortable with that.
Yeah,
I'm
not at
uncomfortable
all.
with that.
So does that then put into question what we're saying about VR sex? Because the virtual reality sex, rather than having the physical robot there with you, you've got a suit
Hmm.
that you're wearing, but the image that you see is even better than the physical robot.
Yeah, but you can't see it. But you, the onlooker, can't see it. So
Yes, I
you're not going
see.
to be upset because you can't see it. In fact, all you see is somebody lying in bed writhing with a headset on, and you can look in and just go, "What?" And then again, and then leave. I don't think that's going to be. As long as the person then doesn't come down and say, "Where's my dinner?" And say, "I haven't been able to cook dinner." Hey, you weren't able to cook dinner because for the last 2 hours you were upset. What the heck, man? Or if you want to be non-sexist about it, uh, she can say, "Well, the reason that you haven't fixed the car is because you were upstairs with this blooming VR thing of yours." So there we go.
I think you're absolutely spot on. The the fact that you're seeing a an image, if the robot was there, you're seeing the robot
You're seeing the
actually,
robot.
and
Yeah.
it looks humanoid, looks too much like a competitor.
Mm,
That's how it would seem in your
mm-hmm.
psyche, wouldn't it? Because this thing is competing with you, and from a low level part of your psyche, you're seeing a competitor directly taking something from you and looks humanoid. Whereas
Absolutely
you're
not.
right.
And by the way, I speculate, again, it's speculation, but I am red pilled MGTOW after all. So I speculate that women would be absolutely bonkers if they came and and they suspected that the thing that was offering the man pleasure was more than a competitor because the man preferred it to her, because that would be even more primal than for men, because that calls into question their femininity, that I'm not woman enough for you. A man is not so much I'm not man enough for you, but you're weird, man. And I don't like that. That's a competitor. It's sort of more, it's more on a, it's not my fault kind of, no, yeah, I think that's what I'm trying to say, that a man doesn't feel that he's not man enough for you. He feels that, sorry to put it this way, you're a slag. Okay, you're a skank. What? So, how much sex do you actually need? No wonder I'm tuckered out every night. That's his thing. But for a woman, it will be more. Well, am I not woman enough for you? Because we see this already. I mean, part of the thing about the porn thing is, hey, I'm here. Why do you need to look at porn? But it's not the same. For
True.
example, I tell women that I speak to, I say, well, it's very simple. You look at porn, you go from zero to hero in maybe 90 seconds. With you blooming women, man, there's touch here, do this, turn that, twist there, go here, go. It's like, yeah, I just wanted a quickie. Yeah.
Too much faff.
Too much faffing around, man. I'm, I got things to do. So seriously, anyway, it's all speculation. I mean, who knows? I would love to hear from women, to be honest. How would they think about VR? Because women don't even want you thinking about other women.
That's true. That's
I
true.
don't suppose men want you thinking about other men either, but I don't really hear a lot of men saying that. So I would love to hear from our
Well, yeah. I mean,
female audience.
most most women, I would dare say, I can't say for certain, I've got no figures here, but they're not comfortable with men looking at pornography,
Yeah.
even if it doesn't interfere with their relationship.
Hmm.
It just seems as if, they're doing something that means they're not loved almost. It's almost they're
That's
not
it.
cared
That's
for.
they're not women enough. Their femininity is attacked.
I dare say that's not the case when people are, because a lot of men, as you've rightly said, are doing it because there's a biological need,
Mm-hmm.
necessity to relieve stress.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a relieving of stress mechanism as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is very functional. And I suppose, like you said earlier, the women in Japan
Yeah.
are more accepting of this mechanical part of a man's psyche,
Mm.
knowing that most men who in Japan go and seek a woman of the night are doing it for release. They're not looking for emotional intimacy. They're just doing it as a function of their psyche. They just need to get a release in some way. Whereas women, when they normally get a partner or engage in sex, there is more an emotional bond there. So there's the differences between the sexes. There is that. So yeah, women to engage in a VR sexual experience maybe won't do it for a sexual release point of view, although there are women that also have to do that, but they're more wanting to do it because they're unhappy in the relationship and are seeking love and affection and this emotional intimacy that may be lacking. So yeah, there are two different ways of
And
using this.
there's a wrinkle to that Japanese story, by the way. There's a wrinkle,
Go on.
and it's something that a Japanese person will have to confirm what I'm about to say because it's very hard to understand it from the outside. But where do geishas come in? Now, a geisha is not a prostitute. A geisha is a special form of hostess that
Concubine.
no, no,
No?
she's a hostess. She's an accomplished hostess, an entertainer, but a very particular, very Japanese kind of entertainer. So she's not a prostitute. I mean, there's no, hanky panky, maybe guaranteed, because I don't know if some of them, they're like their, I don't understand. But basically, you go off to nightclubs and you find your geisha over a period of time, and you like your geisha, and then you spend a lot of money on your geisha. That's it. You spend money on her. You buy all these very expensive drinks, and she gets a cut, and you can give her gifts, and she will sit with you and talk to you and chat with you. That is it.
So is that like ego building as opposed to sexually?
I don't know
Yeah,
what
I,
it
I
is,
don't
but that is it.
understand.
But the wives don't like geishas.
Really?
Yeah,
But they're happy for the man to go and
I don't know about happy,
see.
but they'll accept it.
They'll accept that,
They'll accept that.
but not a geisha. Is it
No,
because the geisha's more attractive? They tend to be
I think it's
attractive. They
because if there's no sex, but you like her, then you like her. Why are you giving her all these gifts and attention and everything? You like her. Well, with a prostitute, you don't you might meet the prostitute today and then a different one tomorrow and different, but you always go back to the same geisha. So why? You see,
That's an emotional intimacy. There's an attachment there.
that's an emotional intimacy.
Hmm.
That's an emotional intimacy. So even though isn't
Interesting.
that kind of flipping peculiar that yeah they can have the prostitute but don't go out with the geisha because I'll leave you. That's ridiculous. And I'm not doing anything with the geisha. Mind you, I am spending money on her. So maybe that's money that should be coming to their household that you're blowing on this blooming woman who's basically. I'll never forget. I was laughing. My wife and I were giggling because I told her about you and your idea a
Which one?
few I don't know, this was years ago now. You said, why can't the government hire people who go around smiling to make everybody happy? And that's and I was like, can you imagine? That's me just where's my money? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
What's why
So
is it ridiculous? It's
this this
superb.
this geisha, that's all she was doing. Give me my money. And then the wife is like, what are you stupid or something? What about the bills, man? So anyway, it's human sexuality is it's a wonderful place to end. Human sexuality is weird,
No, I'm agreeing. I'm agreeing. I mean, we've
very
nearly
weird.
got to the top of the hour, so you
Yeah,
said that
there we
this
are.
would be a short show, but we're basically there at the top of the hour, so we've made it. We did cover what we had to cover.
Hey.
I'd still reach out to our audience, however, to answer this question. We do value your comments, and as Tyos has said, are we missing something in here? Are there ladies that are listening to this show who totally disagree with us? Please, please, please put your comments in. Tell us why. What have we missed? What have we done wrong? What should we have mentioned? And we may revisit this and may have you on the show. So, yeah, please, please, please continue to like, comment, and subscribe, but particularly comment because we love hearing from you and your thoughts on what we cover. Right. But if you've loved this episode, please, like I said, hit subscribe and stay tuned for more deep dives into prophecies, mysteries, and the unexpected twists of fate. You've listened to Tony and Tayo. We are the TNT Talk Show, but unfortunately, we have reached the end of the show for another week.